Good afternoon. Okay, looks like I am live. Good afternoon, Carol Buckalew with Inky Stampers. It looks like Facebook has changed the way you go live again. So, always interesting, right? You're not sure what you're going to get into. So today I have a super cute card for you. And this set is out of the new 2024-2025 annual catalog. And I looked at it in the catalog and I'm like, oh, that's really cute, but I don't know. But I decided to get the suite, and oh my gosh, it is so stinking cute. So we've got a little mother duck and a little baby duck, some cattails, some lily pads, just so sweet. This may take a little longer than 30 minutes today, so I'm going to get, dive right in. So let me set this aside. Hey, Faith, thanks so much for joining. Is that not sweet, that little card? Oh my gosh. So I used the Charming Duck Pond stamp set, and then there are coordinating dies, and I used quite a few of the stamps and the dies in this set. And then there is the Lily Pond Lane 6x6 Designer Series paper. I did check, and there are outline dies in the die set that will cut the little ducks and the baby chick out from the paper. So, so that's really sweet. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to get this set, and I ended up getting it, and I'm so glad I did. I also used one of the deckled rectangles dies for this card as well. And this card may take a hot second to put together, so I'm going to try and move quickly if I can. And I'm going to start off with my DSP panels. And this is from the Lily, see, I've already forgotten the name, the Lily Pond Lane Designer Series paper. And these are the B-sides. And I love the B-sides for putting cards together. They make great backgrounds. I'm going to grab myself a little mechanical pencil, and I want my, I'm going to cut a banner end on each side of my my thinner rectangle here. And so I'm just going to make some little pencil marks, and that will help me make sure that my banner is straight. Nothing worse than a crooked banner. And let me see here. I need to make a little mark. Oops. At the center. So this panel measures 2 inches by 5 inches. Make sure I can see that mark. And let's turn this around, and I'll mark the other side. And this is just going to make sure that I'm getting a consistent banner on both sides, just for aesthetics. And then to cut a banner end, I'm going to cut straight up the center to that 1/2 inch mark I made. I'm sure it's hard for you to see, but I can see it. And I'm going to cut right up to that 1/2 inch mark up the center. And then I'm going to go from the corner up to the line that I just cut. It doesn't want to let go there. There we go. And then I'm going to flip it over and cut from the opposite corner up to my cut line. And so we've got one banner end, and we'll get this second one done quickly. So up the center to the 1/2 inch mark, from the corner to the cut line, and flip it over. And then I'm going to cut from the opposite corner up to the cut line. There we go. Okay. We've got our banner cut. Put my scissors down, grab my glue. Yeah, the ducks are sweet. I started playing around with the set and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just too precious. So I'm just going to get some liquid glue here on the back of my Designer Series paper. And this is going to get glued up right to the center. So I'm going to center this left to right, top to bottom. And liquid glue helps you get that wiggle room if you need it. I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm pretty straight. It actually looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and just give that a tamp down. And I'm going to grab my eraser because I see a pencil mark. And I don't want to see a pencil mark. Let me get rid of that other pencil mark up there. There we go. We're good. Okay. You know what? I can go ahead and get this put onto the card base, and then we'll get some stamping done. So I've got a peach pie card base. This is one of our new in colors. I love it. Just so pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this DSP panel down to my card front with liquid glue. We'll get this on the card front. And I'm just looking for that equal distance all the way around between the DSP and the card base. And that looks good. We can set that aside for now. I have pre-cut my circle, and I have a piece of Post-it tape across this circle. So I am masking off half of the circle. And I am going to, whoops, let me turn it the other way. I am going to ink blend some pretty peacock ink. This will coordinate with the paper that I've used. I'm going to blend some pretty peacock across the bottom half of this circle. So if you don't have Post-it tape, you could use Post-it notes. They would work equally as well. But we're just creating our little duck pond here by ink blending half of this circle. And that looks good to me. I think we can close this. And we'll go ahead and take up our Post-it tape and just carefully pull that away from our circle. And I'll set that aside so it can dry for a minute. Let me cap my glue. All right, we have a little bit of stamping to do. And then mostly the front of the card is our die cuts. And I do have to color a couple of die cuts. But right now, let's get some stamping done. So I have a skinny little sentiment label for the front of the card. I'm going to stamp that in Granny Apple Green. And that is a happy birthday sentiment. And let me just get my label lined up here. These are photopolymer stamps, so you can see through them, easy to line up. Let me just take my time here. Hopefully I got it centered. I've got a white label sitting on top of a white grid paper, and it was a little hard to see. And that looks good to me. Okay, we're good. We're good with the sentiment label. I might as well go ahead and get that matted up. I'm going to mat that to a piece of peach pie. Whoops. I almost put my glue back in the holder without the lid on. That wouldn't have been good. And the mat is just cut 1/8 of an inch larger on each side compared to the sentiment label. Just in case you were curious. All the measurements and instructions will be out on my blog tomorrow. This is my card for tomorrow for the Happy Inkin' Thursday blog hop. And the blog hop, we have a sketch challenge for the blog hop. So This is for the sketch challenge. I'm starting to really love sketch challenges. I didn't like them at first, but I'm really starting to love them because it challenges me. All right. The Charming Duck Pond stamp set is a 2-step stamp set. So we have here some fronds and then cattails. So I'm going to stamp on the inside panel, I'm going to stamp the cattail fronds in Granny Apple Green ink. And then I'm also going to stamp on my envelope front the same image. Okay, and I will tell you that these 2-step stamps are easy to line up. They really are quite easy. And now I've got a little frog sitting on a lily pad. I'm going to ink him up in Granny Apple Green ink, and I'm going to stamp him right here next to the cattails. And we're going to color him in here in just a minute. And then I've got an additional sentiment, which I'm also stamping in Granny Apple Green ink. We'll just get that ink color out of the way. And we'll stamp this here at the top of our panel. Hopefully I'm straight. Yeah, photopolymer does make it easy, but I can tell you, it's possible to get the sentiments crooked. I've done it. It happens. It just happens sometimes. All right, now we have our cattails. And this is not a color in the DSP for this suite. It actually is gray granite, but I wanted something darker. And Pebbled Path to me kind of looks like it looks like a brown gray to me. And that's why I went with the Pebbled Path. So I don't know if you can see the little tick marks, but those are the tops of the cattails. And so I'm looking to line up my little cattails between the stems and those little tops. And let's see if I can get that lined up. When I initially stamped it, that's perfect. It was really quite easy to line up. And then we've got one more to do here. And then we're going to do a little bit of coloring. So, you know, this card kind of has a little bit of everything. Only thing I'm missing, I think, is a fun fold. I don't have a fun fold today. But it's got everything else. And yeah, the cattails have little tops to them. They're so sweet. So I'm going to set the envelope aside. I'm going to bring back in our inside panel. I think I'm done with the Pebbled Path ink. And then I'm going to pull in some Stampin' Blends here. So I've got a few. And we have a bit of coloring. I'm going to grab my die cut cattails. I cut those out of white cardstock. We're going to be coloring those. But I want to color, the cattails are done. I want to color the little frog and the little frog. I want to make sure I have the light Granny Apple Green. Because if I use the dark Granny Apple Green on the frog, you won't be able to see him. It will cover the stamped lines. But if you use the light shade, you'll be able to see the stamped lines, you know, that define his little arms and legs. And I'm going to color his belly as well. And I'll hold this up here in a minute. I know it's probably hard to see. It's a tiny image. Yeah, but he's cute. This reminds me of the pond that was at my grandparents' house. Now, I'm only coloring on the inside of his face. And I'm leaving the white highlights You see if I can get that close enough. I'm leaving the white highlights, it won't focus, around his eyes so that you can see his eyes. It's not showing up on the camera, but hey Mom, the problem may be on your end. You may need to adjust your speed setting for the video. Click the little 3 dots, I think, and you can adjust the speed, and that should help. Okay, I'm coming in with the light shade of a Pretty Peacock Stampin' Blend, and I am going to color in the lily pad. And I'm kind of having to take my time because I'm using the brush tip. And if you're not careful, that brush tip will drop ink everywhere. So I'm just kind of trying to keep a light touch. But is he not sweet? I don't know, between the cattails and the ducks and the little frog, I was sold. Once I got the set, once it came in the mail and I got a look at it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is just too cute. Alrighty, so this is the same blending brush I used on the circle. I'm not going to re-ink it, but I'm going to add some color here to the bottom of my stamped images on the inside panel, and that gives it some nice color, gives the appearance of a little pond. And I'm going to do the same thing on the envelope front, just add some color here to the bottom of the cattails, and I'm not being careful. I am trying to keep it to the bottom, but I'm not, certainly not being careful about where I rub it. But that just gives it some nice color. So we can set those things aside for now and pull our circle in. Let me get rid of that blending brush. I'm done with that. We're going to do a little bit of coloring here on our cattails. And so die cutting from white cardstock is a great way to, to get the multicolors without having to cut it twice. So in other words, if I cut this image twice, I could cut the cattails off. I could run it through green, and then I would run it through with the pebble path. And then on the second die cut of the same image, I would, cut the cattail off and then piece it in place. I could do that. But cutting in white cardstock lets you go ahead and just use your markers or your stamps and blends, or even, watercolor, to go ahead and color in the images. And I'm going to leave my little green top there on the top of the cattail. And we'll get this one colored in. When you're coloring on the white cardstock, you do want to make sure that you're touching the edges so you're not seeing white edges. And I'll double check those when I'm all done here. Let me get these two colored in quickly. Yeah, Mom, remind me to show you how to check your video speed. It could be that. I know a lot of times, when I'm watching other people's videos, people will say that the video's cutting in and out, and usually it is the person that's watching the video, it's their video speed maybe needs to be adjusted. So sometimes that helps. Alrighty, and then I'm going to go to Granny Apple Green for the stems. And don't forget to color the tops of your cattails there, because the little stem is extending. Cattails are really pretty. We have cattails in this area, around ponds and whatnot, and they're just so pretty. The birds love them too, because these long, the heads of cattails can be really long, like they can be, that long and that wide, and they kind of bloom out and burst open, and then the birds like whatever is inside. If I recall, it's kind of like a fluffy stuff that's inside, but there's probably seeds in there too. All right, I'm just gonna give these a quick color with the Granny Apple Green. Mom, I was saying that this little duck pond reminds me of the pond at my grandparents' house. Although I don't think I can't remember if there were cattails around the pond or not. I think there were. I know there were grasses around the pond. And frogs. That pond had a lot of frogs. Frogs, geese, and a snapping turtle lived in the pond. Okay, let me see here. We can go ahead and start gluing up. Let me turn this over so it's not so distracting. So obviously our water goes on the bottom half of the circle, and we are going to put a cattail on either side of that circle. And let me bring in my other pieces. We're going to have to assemble our little ducks. I think I'm going to leave them in the tray for now, but I'll get out the lily pads and we can get those put together. So let me go ahead and start getting some things glued up. Come on, glue. There it goes. Alrighty. And I want these cattails to kind of angle out to the side. I'm just looking at my sample card here off to the side. So they can kind of sit a little higher on the circle, but I'm going to try to keep the bases of them close to the edge there at the bottom. And let's get this one glued up. And again, it can sit a little bit higher. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my little lily. Let's put this little single lily pad on first. So he's going to go kind of like that. And I just want to put glue here at the top. The bottom is going to hang off the edge just a little bit. So I don't want, I don't want glue past that edge. And then the other two are going to come over here like that. So we'll get glue across the top of those lily pads. There we go. Okay. Now I've got two little lily flowers here, and these were cut from peach pie. And I am going to take a Pretty in Pink Stampin' Blend, and this is the light shade. And I'm going to just add some color here to the centers of those lilies. I'm not sure if they'd have that, but mine do. Right? When it's your card, you can pretty much do what you want to do. So I'm adding a little bit of the Pretty in Pink over top of the peach pie. All right, and we will get these glued onto our lily pads. I've got 3 lily pads, but just 2 flowers, which is fine. Whoops. Oh boy, did I squish the glue out on that one. This is why I like my tweezers. It has a sharp point, and I'm able to use the side of the tweezers to get glue off when I've gotten a little over enthusiastic. Try to get a little less glue on that one. And we'll get him put down right there. Let me straighten him out a little bit. There we go. Okay. That looks good. Now we can put our ducks together. So what I did was, for the baby duck, let's do mama duck first. So Mama Duck, one die is to cut her body and head, and then one die will cut at the same time her beak and her wing. So we have a tiny little wing and beak, and then the body. So the body is cut from gray granite, and then the wing and beak are cut from the peach. So let me pick up, actually, you know what? I'm going to put glue on her beak. That probably will be easier. That is so tiny, that little beak. And it, you know, it lines up exactly. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and get her little wing on. And I'm going to just have the wing kind of up a little bit, right above her body. So it's sticking up a little bit there. Alrighty, so Mama Duck is ready to go. And then the baby duck. For the baby duck, I cut, so the die cuts out this open piece with no beak, and then the full body of the baby, and then the little wing. So I use that die to cut once from gray granite and then once from peach pie. Let me just clean that glue off there. They are tiny pieces, Faith, but it's a lot of fun. I had so much fun putting this together. Okay, I forgot on the Mama Duck. Let me do that now while I'm thinking of it. I came back in with the Pretty in Pink, the light shade, and wherever the wing was embossed, I just kind of flicked some of that Pretty in Pink over top. It just adds a little bit of interest. But where I got the idea, if you look at this paper, the Pretty in Pink and Peach Pie are kind of combined on the body. And I thought, well, why not, right? It looks cute. It gives it a little bit of interest. Now, for the baby bird, so the baby bird's body is gray, like Mama. And I need to grab, bear with me here a second. I need to grab a Stampin' Right marker and make sure this is black. This is black. And I'm going to use the bullet tip. So I know that you can't see this, but I can. There is a little area where the baby bird's eye is embossed. And I don't want to do it on that one. I want to do it, let me think. Okay, I don't want that section. I want the Peach Pie baby bird on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead where I see that eye is embossed. And that's a really big eye, but you're not going to see all that. But I'm going to color over where that eye is. And then once I put this piece on, it'll cover up all that. And baby bird will have a normal looking eye. All right. But yes, they are tiny. You definitely want to use some tweezers. And let me pick this up so I can get it glued together properly. All right, there we go. And then I saved the little die cut from the baby bird's wing. Whoops. And I'm going to go ahead and put the glue directly on our baby bird. And I'm going to pop this little wing into that cutout opening. Just like that. Okay. And I think we can cap our glue up here for a second. Let me think here. Back to the Pretty in Pink marker. And I'm going to just kind of outline baby bird's wing here with some of the Pretty in Pink, just to give it a little bit of interest. Alrighty. So we can go ahead. I'm going to pop up Mama Bird and Baby Bird with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And these are half Stampin' Dimensionals. I cut my dimensionals in half. Yeah, So cute. I'm telling you, it is so cute. And let me grab another one here just to support her head. So this is a quarter piece of dimensional. Alrighty. And I'm going to put Mama Bird down first. Whoops. And Mama Bird's going to kind of sit up here. And you kind of want her body even with the water level, like that. And then Baby Bird can go on next. And when you put Baby Bird on, make sure Baby Bird's peach pie beak is overlapping Mama Bird's body, so that her gray body, so that you can see the Baby Bird's beak. Okay, so we got, shh, 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 shh. Dogs are wanting to bark, of course. Shh, no, hush. All right, I'm going back to my marker. And I'm trying to think, how did I get Mama? You know what I forgot to do? Mama Bird should have had, shoot. Mama Bird needed a little piece of black cardstock behind her eye. So let me see here if I can find a little scrap. I had black cardstock out this morning. Do I have a scrap? I don't, of course. All right, but you know what? I'm going to use a little tiny scrap here of just a color I grabbed out of my trash bin. And I am just going to cut the tiniest piece. And hopefully I can get this to work. Let's see if I can get this to work. Let me see here. Just use the tiniest piece of... well, it is an open, it's open behind. I forgot that I had glued a piece of cardstock under Mama Bird's eye. But you know what? I got it. Haha. All right. See, there's always, when there's a will, there's a way. There is always a way to fix stuff. All right. Except that I see my little piece of cardstock sticking out. Let me see if I can get that pushed back. Because we don't want to see that pretty peacock cardstock showing through. There. Okay. I think I got it. So that is pretty peacock. So I'm just going to go ahead and with the bullet tip of my pen, color that pretty peacock cardstock black. So that worked. I forgot about that step. I'm sorry about that, guys. I forgot that I had glued a tiny little piece of black cardstock behind that. All right, we can go ahead and start putting our card together. So this whole circle unit is going to go on the card front with Stampin' Dimensionals. And let me find those, and then our sentiment as well. And I knew this card would take longer than the 30 minutes, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. Thanks for sticking with me. Trying to get that dimensional cover off, that was tough. Sometimes these dimensional covers want to stick to the backing, and it makes it very difficult to get them off. Alrighty. That should be good. Let me grab my tweezers here and get these covers popped off. And this circle is going to be centered from left to right, but it's going to sit a little higher on the card front to make room for our sentiment. We want our water, right, for our pond to line up with the edge of our card. Let me make sure that's straight. That looks good to me. Go ahead and give that a press down. Well, let's get some dimensionals on the sentiment label. We get that popped on. And this is going to sit right below the circle. And we'll shoot for right side up. Right side up would be good. And I lined the right edge of the sentiment label up with the right edge of the DSP. And let's try to get that on straight. That looks good. Give it a press down. I've got dimensional cover sticking to me. All right, we can get the inside on. We're moving right along here. Oops. I did not mat the inside, but you certainly could if you wanted to. Didn't really think it needed it. Alrighty, there's our little frog and cattails. And just a couple of more little things here and we'll be done. I'm going to take a short length of baker's twine. Where is my glue cap? There we go. So that doesn't dry up. And I'm going to take the light shade of the dark shade of a peach pie Stampin' Blend. And I'm going to color our twine with the peach pie. You'll need to make several passes over the twine to get it colored. As you're pulling it across, the twine tends to twist. And so you'll have white areas. So I usually do about 3 passes. That looks good to me. I'm going to let that dry for a second. And I'll go ahead and get the flap here put on the envelope. And a couple of gems on the card front, and we are done. So this suite in the catalog is, you get the paper, the stamp set, the dies, and the gems. And it's a reasonable price. Like, it really is reasonable. So just putting a piece of coordinating DSP here on our envelope flap. Just trying to get that straight. Give it a good press down. Get that glue all smushed out. And we'll give it a quick trim. So please check out the blog tomorrow. Happy Inkin' Thursday Blog Hop. You'll get to see the details for this card, but you also get to see all of my team members' creative projects on the blog hop. So there's usually about 10 or 12 of us that hop. So it's, lots of inspiration on that blog hop. And I'm also, you'll also find details about the May joining promotion. Stampin' Up! Has a really great joining promotion right now. Really, really great. Like, you get a lot of products for the $99 that the starter kit costs. Okay, so we've got our envelope done. Let me just tie a little bow here with our colored twine. Whoop, got carried away there. And I'm just looking for a small bow. I don't want anything large. We don't need it. And let me give this twine a little trim. Alrighty. Move that out of the way. Whoops. You can tell I have glue on my hands. Everything is sticking to me. I've lost my tweezers. Oh, there they are in front of me. And I'm just going to use a mini glue dot to adhere this bow here just above the sentiment label. Right about there. And I rolled that glue dot up just because the twine doesn't take up a lot of space. And twine, sometimes you have to kind of manhandle it. It always wants to curl on one side. And it's probably how it was tied, but, and I'm just going to tuck that glue dot under that knot in the bow. There we go. Okay, perfect. And let me see here. We need a couple of embellishments. And the embellishments that come in the suite with this Lily Pond suite are the adhesive back dappled dots. These are really pretty. They're colored, and then they have little white dappling in them. So really sweet. I'm going to use the gray granite dots, and I'm going to put one over there. And let's put one up here. And then I'm going to put another one down here. And I just realized I've got my circle a little over to the left, and I've got a piece of my cattail sticking off. So what I can do, I'll fix this later, but what I'm going to do is take my scissors and just taper that end a little shorter, and then I'll take my, carefully, take my Stampin' Blend Granny Apple Green marker and just color the edges where I snipped it. But I didn't realize that when I put that circle on. The circle's sitting a little further over than I would have liked. But that is the card for today. Super cute, a little involved, but so worth it. I mean, how adorable is this card? Just so cute. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern with another card tutorial. Until then, have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.